Hello, and welcome to this edition of All About Hopkinton, the original HCAM series created to bring you the people and organizations that help make our community the great place that it is. There are a lot of people dedicating their time, energy, and talents to improve some aspect of life in our town. I'm honored to be sitting here, talking with them and sharing their stories with you. Joining me now is Sean McAuliffe, the new Director of the Board of Health. Welcome, Sean. I'm so glad you could be on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I know this is a whole new experience for you, as you mentioned to me before the show started, so just relax. We're going to have a wonderful conversation because I'm really looking forward to hearing all about the Board of Health and what you've learned only in a very short time, as I understand it, that you've been on the job. Why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about your background and who you are for our viewing audience.
Terrific, and thank you again for having me.
You're very welcome.
I was, I started my career as an environmental consultant. The story goes that I left my, my summer job looking for something better, and I was on an interview at a large environmental consulting firm, and my supervisor started choking at the table. I gave him the Heimlich, saved his life, and I was hired the next day as an environmental consultant. And then that kind of summarizes how I've gone in between environmental health and public health over my career. I was an environmental consultant, as I said, for 15 years with several multinational firms in the area. When my mom got ill, I needed to change careers and saw an opportunity to go with the City of Boston Health Department. And I was a sanitarian with the City of Boston for 8 years. I did some side contracting work with the town of Burlington. And then I had an opportunity to go and take a position with Shaw's and Star Market as a food safety manager. So at that point, I had the second of my 2 children, and we were outgrowing our place in Boston, so we saw an opportunity to move out to Central Mass, and found a place in Framingham, and the position at Shaw's and Star was fantastic, but I didn't have a good work-life balance. And that's what led me to Hopkinton.
Well, I'm glad it did, and congratulations on getting the position. That's a very varied background, I should say, which brings a lot of experience. I'm sure that you're going to be able to call upon in your new position as the director. But I have to say, I've never heard about a resume saying, "Hey, I can save your life, so hire me," with the Heimlich maneuver. That was a good one.
One of my friends says, there's definitely a book out there on just different opportunities that have kind of helped shape my life and move me, move me throughout careers and opportunities.
Well, I don't want to joke about that because it was a very serious situation, and I'm sure that the life you saved, he was very grateful to you. But again, you have, sounds like a strong background in the health area, with your experience in Boston and other things that you've done. So how did you find out about the position in Hopkinton? And you said you were looking for work-life balance.
So when I was a consultant, I had an opportunity to do due diligence and risk management work for the Egan family and Kruth Capital. So that through that experience, I found myself working in Hopkinton and the Central Mass region. And I found Hopkinton was very similar to where I grew up in Foxborough and Easton, where we had a good strong history, and that was part of my due diligence experience. Was you had to get into a town and learn about the industrial background, and just really, I guess, fully embrace the community to figure out what environmental issues that might exist. So, the more I did work out here, I was like, oh, Hopkinton's just a fabulous community. And when I saw that there was an opportunity to explore the position as health director here. I said, I've got to do this. It's 14 minutes from where I live, and as I said, I was looking for a work-life balance, and this position provides that. It's been nothing but fantastic. What I've been here for 3 weeks, and it's been a great experience here to date.
Well, I agree with you. It is a fabulous town, but I'm a little bit biased in that opinion, maybe. But for the years that I've lived here, I love it here too. And I'm sure it'll be a good experience for you because you have a little familiarity with the town and some of the people. But 3 weeks, that's not much time to really get in, and underneath things. But I'm glad you took some time out to come and talk with us on the show. What have you found out so far, and what are some of the things that you're looking at doing for Hopkinton?
Well, I always look for opportunities to learn more about the town and experience the town. So this is just one of those opportunities. As soon as I accepted the position, I was here walking in the farmers market. Then I went down and brought my kids to the different playgrounds. We've been down to Sandy Beach, and it's important to jump in and really get to know the town and the community and what opportunities there might exist. So I was pleased to see that we have a pretty fantastic track record with our restaurant performance, and compliance in general in the town is great. And then we've got decent programs set up to accommodate the marathon and the other running events in town. And right now, I think one of the things that we're targeting is, how can we better service these events, improve the access to permitting documents and health information, and I think through basic modernization of our systems and our services at the department, we should be able to deliver. I expect that we'll be able to deliver on that commitment to modernize our service delivery.
Well, I have to admit that the health department is not a department in town that I generally look into and wonder what's going on. I think it's maybe one of those departments if something were happening that was a threat in any way, you might hear about it.
Right.
But generally things, if they're going well, who's paying attention, right? So you did mention some of the services, though. They do the permitting for the restaurant, so they do the inspections periodically to see if everything meets the standards to operate.
Right.
And you're looking to do some more efficiencies in terms of getting information out to people in the town,
Right.
and
simply help in the execution of or the delivery of permitting and documentation. So the Board of Health, when you don't hear about us, we're doing our job.
yeah, exactly.
So I've got a great team where I have my health agent is, he's one of the best in well and septic system design review. We've got a great contract inspector who's out doing our health inspections, and then as a health agent, we deal with everything from you're the town's burial agent. We deal with infectious disease control. So there are a variety of these different areas that we're involved in, and right now we're getting ready to start the school year. So we're looking for, we're looking to roll out information to the schools to just get them prepared for, flu and norovirus season. If we can encourage hand washing and impress upon, the residents to keep their children home when they're sick, or if they suspect that they might have norovirus, we can really improve upon, the health and eliminate a lot of these health risks that we could experience over the upcoming year.
Well, I've already learned about some of the areas that the health department gets involved in from what you've said that I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I generally think of, I think earlier in the year before you came on board, they had the mosquito sprayings,
Right.
which I was very grateful for, by the way, for this year. Didn't have to deal with those. I usually get so many in my yard, I can't do my yard work. But but you talked about other areas that I wasn't even familiar with, so I'm really glad to hear and realize that it's far more in-depth that you and your team will continue to be involved in than I certainly realized. Either from your background and experience or from what you've seen, say, in the last, just in the first couple of weeks you've been on board. You mentioned, flu season may be coming up with the school year. Are there other areas that you try to get ahead of, let's say, in order to maybe prevent something from happening in town, in the health area? What kind of information do you think is helpful?
Moving forward, with next season's mosquito, with the upcoming mosquitoes, and with global warming, we're seeing mosquito species that we never saw in this region migrate, further northward. I believe there was a pool identified in southeastern Mass that had, I think, dengue fever, or the mosquitoes that, there was a pool, I believe, with dengue fever. And these are the things that, we'll be monitoring throughout the year to help us plan for mosquito control. We'll be looking in to see, what opportunities are there for, like tick education. How can we, what are the things that we can do as residents in controlling, our local environment that will help reduce the tick population or mosquito population. And then, what can we do, at home to help further, just public health. We talk about, the work we do with restaurants and helping them reduce their liabilities or the potential for foodborne illness. But a lot of that can be translated to the home, and it's putting together programs to educate the public on potential foodborne illness issues at the home. My friends joke, you don't seem to like the summer season. I said, well, that's when all the foodborne illness happens. So you have people going to barbecues where, grilled chicken or burgers might not have been fully cooked. So it's, looking at how can we educate the community on like barbecue safety to, again, further reduce the incidence of foodborne illness in the community. And then, the community in general, we have a great baseline to work from and to build from. We have at least 18 trails. We have good restaurants. We can start, I think, tying all of these different issues and opportunities that we have outside in the community to help further promote public health. Putting together walking or hiking clubs and helping educate how these different, being an exercise group, we can promote, tick safety while promoting healthy living and lifestyle changes and promoting healthy eating. So this is something that we're looking to figure out how we can, really tie public health and the Board of Health activities better into the community to, again, to promote the overall health of the community.
That's a really tall order. Health does touch every aspect of your life, pretty much. And how are you going to get all of this information out to the community? Is there any efficiencies or changes that you want to see in what the health department is doing in order to ensure that this kind of information is reaching everybody in the community?
I mean, Massachusetts has a very strong public health system where a lot of the educational information, it's already out there, but it's not readily accessible through, say, our web portals. It's figuring out ways via the existing web portals, through the school systems portals, to get that and disseminate that information out to the public. We have information on norovirus and ticks, and if we can, in food safety, and if we can better present the documentation and link people to that documentation, I think we have a savvy enough population here where that'll be the start. And then through the farmers markets and the family day that's coming, there's opportunity out there to interact with the public and to educate the public about what we do and what opportunities we see out there.
Wow, that all sounds good. Now, I was sitting here wondering that, as you mentioned, there have been new viruses and things that we've seen in recent years. West Nile, Zika virus, all these things that can be carried through insects, particularly mosquitoes. When something new happens, is there, what's sort of the hierarchy? How does the information get to you in your department, your team, so that you can get it out to the community quickly? Does it come through the federal health department down to the state, or can you talk a little bit about how that happens?
So we're tied into a series of state and federal networks where I get I get an update almost 3 times a week from mosquito control that alerts me to risk levels where mosquito pools with West Nile have been identified, and it helps us put together outreach programs, and that's one of the things that we're looking at, is how can we better take that information that we're getting from the state and federal level and communicate that out to the public. We get updates from the FDA on food recalls. How can we more effectively communicate that information out? And a lot of this, again, could be communicated out via HCAM, via the local news media, and via our website. But like I said, there is a strong hierarchy of information dissemination that comes down to the local health departments. And one of our jobs is to make sure that we are accessing that and acting upon it. And then once we've gone through the documentation, say like this week, there have probably been 5 or 6 recalls, a lot of which don't affect our community or really our state. So it's my job to go through, figure out what might be out there that we need to be aware of, and it's it's calling up Price Chopper. Hey, you guys, how have you responded to this recall? Are they effective? Not every supermarket chain might be affected by a recall, but it's all communication, and it's getting out there and communicating and working with the state and federal resources that we have, and then working within the community to help get that information out.
Like I said, tons of information that I'm sure you're aware of, because you have to go through it probably every day.
Right.
I was a little bit wondering too, and I know, again, you've only been in the job 2-3 weeks, so You're probably still getting sort of your feet wet and getting to know everybody and the heads of the other departments. You know, the Department of Public Works, for example. I was learning about health issues that might be associated with the water, although I have to say Hopkinton has very good water, so
we do.
I don't worry about that. But the other thing is, I know that from time to time, if there has been a water main break or something the police want to alert the entire community about, you can sign up your home phone so that an automated message will be sent out to everyone, and maybe that's something, and hopefully you won't ever have to use something like that.
Right,
Because
knock
if
on
it's
wood.
yeah, knock on wood. If it's that much of an emergency that you want to get a message out to the community via, you know, that instant over the phone, here it comes. But it's an avenue that may be open to you, right?
Right, and then,
Yeah.
I mean, being, you know, we're in hurricane season. I mean, you think about what they're about to go through in the Gulf Coast with flooding and loss of, you know, they'll more than likely there are many communities that are going to lose their water service, their electric service, access to food. So these are things that we can all actually plan for. And you know, there are emergency protocols and procedures that have been developed, again, on the state and federal level that we can disseminate to help you know, the community prepare. It's, you know, it starts with having a plan. I mean, do you have a stockpile of dry goods that could get you through, you know, in this area, probably, you know, 3 days, probably at the most 3 to 5. Do you know when to throw food products away? What are the critical time periods? What can you do to help preserve, you know, frozen foods? Where are, you know, the dry ice resources? And this is, again, stuff that we can probably do a better job at disseminating out to the public to help people prepare for emergencies. It's what we used to do in the supermarket industry. I'd dread a storm front because I knew there was going to be a power outage somewhere, and my job was to sit down and handhold the stores through the emergency, and that's what I'd be called on to do here. And again, it's really all about education and communication.
Yeah. I kind of bringing it closer to home for me, occasionally when I've had power outages in my neighborhood, and you know, it's been 2, 3, 4 hours before the power comes back on, I say, okay, what do I do about that stuff in the fridge and the freezer? You know, they always say, don't open if you've got a power outage,
Right.
Don't open it. But then I always open the freezer, and it still feels like it's kind of frozen.
Right.
It's okay.
Right.
But there's probably guidelines that, you know, if I took the time and got on the website or information you're trying to get out, that I would know how long it's safe. And
The CDC and FDA have many resources available, and you can always call the health department. I mean, we can provide those. You know, I can email those out again, and that's something that, you know, we'll be linking to. But there are, you know, like you said, if it's solid to the touch, it's okay. But you know, with the refrigerated materials, it's a different story. It's always good to have a thermometer on hand.
okay. And I do want to ask a question. It may not be fair to put you on the spot, but you know those expiration dates on everything, especially things that have to be refrigerated? Like one example, maybe, you know, my mayonnaise in the refrigerator. Yeah. Okay, it's got an expiration date. And when I open it up and I start using it, if the expiration date is several months out, I mean, I can't keep it in my fridge several months and use it, right. Once it's open.
And there are guides on the FDA's website on how long products should be kept. But a lot of that information, again, it's Best Buy. Mm-hmm. It's
oh yeah, use Best Buy date or something. Yeah.
So you know, I used to get milk complaints all the time. Milk, you know, the product doesn't go bad the day that is posted on the packaging. You know, Lord knows I'd be locked up if people knew I, you know, gave my daughter's milk. That was.
But you don't want to wait too long. You got.
No, but it's if you're maintaining your refrigerator at 41 degrees or below, if you're doing what you can to protect your food at home, I mean, a lot of these products will last well beyond their use by dates. But it's using common sense. If it smells, if it's discolored, or if it's
See fungus growing in
if
it.
it's right,
Yeah.
if it's really, if most products, if you haven't used a leftover in a week, it should be discarded. But again, there are guides. There are plenty of guides out there that are accessible through either the FDA's, mostly through the FDA's and State Department of Public Health's website.
I like the old sniffer test myself, but
Yeah.
believe it or not, we're almost out of time. Is
No.
there any last-minute message or anything you want to give to the community? I know that, like I said, you're new in the job, and I appreciate you coming in today. So we'll have to invite you back maybe after you've had some time to really get your feet wet.
I'd have to welcome an opportunity to come back, and we could focus on a few, or we could delve deeper into a few topics.
Yeah.
And just kind of share that, because again, this is a great avenue to get information out to the public.
Well, we will do that.
And
In the meantime, the best of luck, you and your team, and take back a message that we appreciate everything that's being done in the health department.
thank you. And if you don't hear from me, that means I'm doing my job.
That's right. And thank you for joining us for this program and hearing about Sean McAuliffe and all of his work. For more information about the Board of Health, visit the website listed at the end of the show. For more information concerning All About Hopkinton, find us on hcam.tv. If you or someone you know is having an impact on our community, we want to hear about it. Send an email to jim@hcam.tv, and perhaps you'll see them sharing their story right here on All About Hopkinton. I'm Mary Arnott, and thanks for watching today.